Hello everyone and welcome to this video, Foods That You Must Eat on Miyajima Island. Today I'm going to be introducing a great Japanese place to you as well as some of the foods that you must try when you are visiting the area. And for those who don't know, Miyajima Island is located in Hiroshima Prefecture. It is a small island, but it is full of great nature, food, and of course aggressive deer. And I only mention this because when you're eating food on Miyajima Island, you need to be very careful of the deer because they do steal it right out of your hand, right out of your bag, and it's kind of a problem for tourists. So make sure you watch out for the deer. But it's a super famous place for people to go on a day trip or to stay overnight, and it just has a lot of rich Japanese culture and history to it. It is probably most known for the beautiful floating torii gate that is right outside of the island. And unfortunately, for the last year and a half, it has been under reconstruction, so it was full of scaffolding and not in its full beauty. But as of October 2022 and onward, the renovation is finishing and you can see it in its full glory when you visit in your next trip. Now moving on, let's go in to see what foods you should eat on Miyajima Island. You need to take a ferry to reach Miyajima Island, and when you do so, you will see the oyster farms along the way. And this is kind of your clue that oysters are a food that you must eat when you're on the island. There aren't just raw oysters. You can find oysters in a variety of different forms. So you can get raw oysters, grilled oysters, fried oysters, oyster rice, oyster soup, oyster everything. So make sure you try. When you get to Miyajima, the main walking street is called Omotosando Street, and this is going to be the street that is filled with other tourists and shops and restaurants, and it's quite busy and quite crazy, but there are a few places that I wanted to point out. The first restaurant is called Yakigaki no Hiyashi, and it is a super popular restaurant, super famous, and they're known for their high quality oysters. And if you come at the peak hours of lunch, you might find yourself waiting in line like I did in a tiny alley right next to the restaurant for over an hour plus. So my recommendation is if you want to go to this restaurant, line up early, hopefully before they even open so that you don't have to spend your day waiting in line. Now what's nice about this restaurant is that they serve oyster sets that come with a variety of different oyster types in it. So I was able to get a set that came with raw oysters, oyster rice, and some soup. So I was able to try oysters prepared in a lot of different ways all at once. Now this being a very popular and touristy destination, the prices reflect this. And you are going to be paying a lot more than you would, let's say, if you were at an oyster hut in Fukuoka, for example. But if you are willing to spend a little bit of cash, it's a fun place to go. Outside of the restaurant, you can see their oyster tanks. They grow their oysters for 3 years. Or you can also see one of the workers grilling the oysters right outside on the street. If you are looking for an absolutely no fuss but incredibly delicious oyster place, then head over to Kakifukumaru. Kakifukumaru is a tiny shop that can only sit 6 customers at a time. There is a very small menu, but it has delicious oysters. And by delicious, I mean my favorite oyster on the menu was this butter garlic oyster, and it was absolutely heavenly. I still think about it today and want to eat it. If it's busy, you're going to have to wait because there are so few people, but the turnover is really quick because people go in, eat their oysters, get out, and move on with their day. Here you can also try a variety of grilled oysters as well as some baked oysters and fried oysters, and their prices are a little bit more reasonable than at the previous restaurant that I mentioned. And if you haven't gotten enough of oysters, there is another type of oyster that you can eat, and it's oyster curry bread. And what is this? Basically a deep fried dough ball with oyster curry inside, and I was lucky to snag the last one that was available before the shop closed, and it was good. So if that's something else that you're looking to try, then maybe oyster curry balls are for you. If you're thinking, Marissa, stop with the oysters. Okay, moving on from oysters, let's go. Maybe you're a little bit thirsty. Maybe you want to quench your thirst a bit. And for those who like to drink alcohol, there is the Miyajima Craft Brewery. And this brewery is also located on the same shopping street, but it has a lot of local beers that are made in Miyajima. And the craft beer scene in Japan is not big at all compared to California, compared to the US in general. No, like you have your big brands and that's about it. So for me, I get really excited whenever craft beer is available. They offer sizes that are small, regular, and large, and for the people who are more indecisive like me or who just want to try a lot of different things, they have flights available too where you can try 3 different types of beer. A fun fact that I read online is that the founder of this Miyajima brewery was first inspired to create his own craft beers after trying IPAs in San Francisco, which is where I'm from, so a little shout out to the Bay. But I thought it was cool that there's a little connection between California and this Miyajima brewery. A side note, and something that I found very interesting that is beer related, is that while food stalls and restaurants close really early on the island, you are never out of luck when it comes to alcohol. And this is part of Japanese culture, but on the island you can find these alcohol vending machines, and I was pretty shocked when I saw it the first time, but yes, there are vending machines in Japan where you can purchase alcohol. So I tried it, it works, and it's something to do if you are also looking for a drink at night and can't find one. Let's move over to something a little bit more sweet. I know we have a lot of sweet tooths, and Miyajima's most famous and well-known snack is called Momiji manju. And Momiji is the Japanese word for maple leaf, and so this is a manju that is shaped like a Japanese maple leaf. It is traditionally made with red bean filling, but there are lots of shops these days that sell their manju with a bunch of different flavors, like apple flavor and chestnut flavor, chocolate flavor, all of the above. So you can really find a flavor that suits you. But these manju are so cool. You can see different shops making them right outside of their window, and it's super nice to enjoy a hot baked snack while you are walking along the island. Momiji manju is probably one of the most popular gifts or omiyage that people who visit the island bring back to friends. So if you have people that you are visiting after your Miyajima adventure, make sure to pick up a few so you can share the delicious experience with everyone. Momiji manju is great, but I love fried foods and was so happy and excited to see that there was a fried Momiji manju, which was called Momiji jake. And there was only one store that I saw that had this as I walked back and forth along the shopping street, and so I knew I had to try it. So it is basically the same Momiji manju but deep fried, and that deep friedness makes it so much better, in my opinion. The store that sells this is called Hakataya, and they use a ticket vending machine system to place your order and wait for your fried snack. It's super delicious, so anyone who likes a little bit of sweet and crispy all mixed together, I highly recommend this, except be careful because it is super hot inside. I got one with peach filling and was so excited to try it, bit it, and immediately scorched the top of my mouth. So be sure to wait a little bit or to take a bite and let all the steam come out because it is extremely hot and dangerous. As you are walking along, you may see a lot of foods on sticks, and these are fish cakes. These fish cake sticks are super popular, and there are many stands along the island that are selling them, and they come with a bunch of different flavors, so you can try the different ones yourself. They are a little bit oily, so maybe you want to not eat so many, but it is really nice when they're fresh and hot, and it's something that you can eat while you walk. Now, if you plan to stay overnight on Miyajima, which I highly recommend doing so, you can learn more about staying overnight in my blog post as I write about my recommendation for lodging. But in terms of food, the restaurants close very early, like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., but there are some that are open later, up till 8 p.m., 8:30, and so you will want to go to these if you are planning to stay overnight. So those are some of my food recommendations. When you're not eating, there are a lot of other things to do, like if you go in the fall, there is the beautiful Momijidani Park, which is probably one of my favorite places for viewing the leaves. There is also a mountain that you can climb, and of course, when the torii gate is completely finished, which it is about now, you have to take photos of that and just enjoy the view that it offers. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe you are a little bit hungry and excited to hop on that Miyajima ferry. Please let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to learn or hear about this island in the comments below, and I thank you for watching this video. See you next time.